Recently on the channel, I reviewed the Linnpower V1 electric skateboard, a high performance race monster. And now we've got the Linnpower OX, an endurance beast. So let's find out what this baby is all about. Now, one thing Linnpower was absolutely keen to talk about on this board is the fakery in the e-skate industry.
This is a load of barnacles.
Talk about all these hypothetical numbers, but not doing any real world testing. Now, for this board, they've ensured me that all performance claims are real, tested and verified. Now, forget about the 0 to 60 in 0.6 seconds hype under no load. This board has been tested with real world riders to see how well it really performs. Now, this board actually comes in two different flavors, a base model and the XR version. We are looking at the all the bells and whistles XR version today, and we're looking what you get for a little bit extra bang for your buck, but the specs on this board are absolutely insane. Now, one of the first initial differences between the One and the OX is the different truck systems we have today. So actually have the forged TKP trucks. Now, these are CNC machined out of single block of high strength aluminum, aluminium, depending where you come from. Now, that means that these trucks are once again 130% stronger than standard cast trucks. Now, one thing I love about these trucks is simply how smooth and consistent they are over the entire length of the carve. When you kind of go into a deep carve with TKP trucks, depending on the bushing steps that you have, it sometimes rebounds you artificially, which is not very good for high speed. But with this truck setup and this TKP and the bushing of choice, it really makes it a really strong, stable and arrow straight ride. And this is kind of what this board is for. Top end, continuous cruising, stiffer trucks for that nice solid ride. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't carve on this board. You can carve on this board, but with that TKP setup, with everything else coming all together, it really makes this a stable ride at high speeds. And some of the other guys who've tested this board have got to some ludicrously high speeds. And what's nice, I really like about the kind of base plate of this truck is that you can see through it. So it means that there's nothing hidden. It's all exposed and show the intricacy of the truck, which I think is really, really nice. Now, Linnpower's new fastening design eliminates loosening and instability. So everything is locked up and tight and is nothing you have to worry about at those higher speeds that when you're pushing this truck system. But this truck system is absolutely excellent and it gives you that stability you need for a board with this power. So next up, we'll talk about the next significant difference with this board is its battery. It's actually prompting a 16S 6P battery, which boasts on 125mm MAD wheels, 110 kilometers range on street wheels. Now, however, I'm actually on the 80 setup, and that's advertising a top range of around 51 miles range. Now, I haven't had loads of time to kind of do a full in-depth range test for this board, unfortunately, but I'm estimating around a range around the 35 to 40 mile range from my testing. And as always, 100 kg rider riding in nothing but S plus mode the whole time. So this board actually has the same battery configuration as my BioBoard Plutonium 2 S edition, and that has been kind of crammed into a form factor that is really, really tight and compact. It's surprising that it's able to fit such a larger battery into this footprint, and the only reason why that's possible is by putting the ESC and charging above the top lid of the battery. Now you end up with like a little hump. It's not the cleanest thing. I think they've done a really good job because they've done the CNC housing for it to keep it cool and make it look really, really nice. But that little bit of aesthetical give, if you will, enables you to put those larger batteries in this board. Now, the watt hour of this board is 1,728 watt hours, which is enormous in a board this size. We didn't have batteries like this on any board, except for the biggest, baddest boards out there, the Liquars, the Bios and Calis. Now they're getting pushed down to more of a convenient size, which is absolutely amazing. Now, the charger that is paired with this board is an 8 amp charger that charges this board from dead in around 4 hours. Now that is okay. I would love to push that number down to maybe 3 hours, just a little bit, but then you get a bigger charger and it's a bit more money for the consumer. Now, paired with this board is Hobbywing's brand new 16S ESC. Now, this is brand new to the market. I think it's one of the first ever 16S Hobbywing ESCs available on the market. This means that the throttle curve and the brake curve are really, really smooth and concise. They're not going to jerk you off and throw you off at those higher speeds, but it is fully adjustable via the remote. So this brand new ESC from Hobbywing is feeling really nice underneath the feet. And what's nice about the ESC that this board is paired with, let me just jump down here, is it does actually support up to 10 amp fast charging. So it'd be interesting if Linnpower does offer a faster charger to pair with the stock charger to really kind of pump down those volts as quickly as possible. But to be honest, 4 hours is absolutely fine with the 16S 6P. But one thing that this board is advertised to do is go to 0 to 30 in 3 seconds. Now I'm telling you, this board does that and some, and it'll just keep going. For me, I'm not in my full Beyond Riders gear and pad, so I ain't gonna be doing super high-end top speeds. And I always say, a board is only as quick as it makes you feel with the confidence. If you don't feel confident in a board, that's going to restrict your top end, and safety is key. Now, the motors that are paired with this board are dual 6487 motors with a total watt hour of 8,000 watts and a kV rating of 170 kVs. Now, one thing that's special about these motors is that they're actually reinforced with 5 M4 bolts for stability and incorporating these vent holes. Now, these vent holes are there to keep these motors running cool at higher speeds, which improves heat dissipation. Another thing as well that Linnpower are refusing to do is anything by the book. They've actually incorporated brand new high temperature magnets, which ensures that the motors perform the best they possibly can. And with the stability of this deck, you actually have 2 offsets for your deck. The front of the deck has actually risen slightly, which enables better carve at low speeds, and actually the back of the board is actually dipped slightly lower to enable better high speeds, which means that you've got a best of both worlds with the deck configuration. I also really like the grip tape on this board. Something that is a little bit different is what it's all about. Having the white deck makes it look really, really nice, and the differences between this one and the one is that this board is made out of a wooden deck, which I'll go into the specs to in a second, but the other one board is actually a carbon fiber deck. So if you prefer more of a wooden deck, you can look at this one. If you want more of a carbon fiber deck, you might want to check out the one. Now, the deck is actually made out of Canadian maple, bamboo and fiberglass with that nice sandwich. There's not really any flex in this deck at all. This is designed for a stiff riding platform, so when you hit those 30 plus miles an hour in that top speed and you hit like a bump or something, this thing's not going to propel you off. This is a hard, stiff deck, but it is really, really pretty. The only thing I would love to see is kind of the inspiration of the Zephyr series to have, not having it as white. I like white on boards, as everyone knows, but if you was to take away this white paint and you could see that deck quality is a bit like the Zephyr, I think that would be a really good distinguishing factor between the OX and the one electric skateboard. But overall, it is nice. Kind of wish I'd loved the exposed wood effect, but that's just me personally. No anything problem with the deck, just my personal preference. Now, next up, I want to talk about the all-new gear drive system for this board. Once again, yes, all-new gear drive system. Now, it's actually a third iteration of this gear drive. We're actually CNC'd once again to perfection, which enables the gear drive to be 45% smaller, 12% lighter, and 470% stronger than the previous versions of the gear drive system. I feel like Linn is never content unless he's got the best possible quality components going into his board. And what's special about this gear drive system is that you can actually change the teeth ratio, or the gear ratio if you will, from 11T stock to the optional 13T stock, which gives you the flexibility for torque, or high speed. So next up, let's talk about these absolutely gorgeous slick tires. Now these are definitely inspired like go-karting and racing, but how well do they perform in like an urban setting? Now these actually are really sticky, and they kind of connect to the floor really nicely. I was a little bit worried when I first saw these wheels that they are slick and I would break out with traction and stuff like that, but I think in the wetter conditions you might want to kind of switch this for more of like a tread pattern. Another thing that's really good about the hubs, which I absolutely love, is they actually have this quick swappable design. So they're actually no bolts in the enclosure of this hub. They're actually pressure sensitive. So the pressure forces the hubs to kind of fit around the wheel. No bolts, no screws. So if you used to get a flat, all you would need to do is just deflate the tire, put a new tire on nice and easily, and you're off you go, no problems at all. The size of these wheels are 160mm by 70mm, and they are the racing slicks. It even says only for racing on them. Another thing as well, you've got this beautiful CNC remote. And what's nice about this is they're actually releasing some kind of like sleeves for this remote, which I've seen a little bit of glimpses of here and there. But what I like about it is just how solid and lightweight it feels in the hand. So all these specs and numbers are absolutely fantastic, but let's get down to the crux. How much does this board cost? So the base model of this board is $1,699 for the early bird price, which goes up to just under $2,000 when it's the full retail price, or for the all the bells, whistles, XR edition, the extended range version, this is $2,199 or 2.499 American Freedom Points. So for overall that, do I think this is a good value for this board? Once again, there is no off-the-shelf stuff here. Everything is bespoke, unique, and has that Linnpower quality. All nice new deck, wheels are fantastic and sticky, TKP trucks, 16S, 6P, huge battery, CNC housing, and the reliability that you know you're going to have this for a really long time. Personally, I think that is excellent value for money, and if you was to think in two minds to get one, you need to get this one at the early bird price to save some money, and if you want to, use my discount code and it makes it even more affordable. I think this is absolutely outstanding what Linnpower is producing nowadays, and it's completely shaking up the e-skate industry with high quality, affordable e-skate for everybody. Anyway, that's a review of the Linnpower OX. I hope you've enjoyed this. If there's any other boards you want to feature on the channel, please put in the comments below. And do you think this is good value for money, or would you consider something else? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.